Please join me in the four-way test of all things we should think, say, and do. Uh, Number one, is it the truth? Number two, is it fair to all concerned? Number three, does it build goodwill and better friendships? And number four, is it beneficial to all concerned? Go Rotary. Hoorah. Okay, and now I'm going to turn this over to Jenny.
Thanks, Pat. Um, Today I have the privilege of introducing Casey Jakubowski, PhD. He is an Eagle Scout, Herbert G Horton Awardee, and an inactive Rotarian. And he's originally from the Western New York area, so that's where I know him from. He's also, doesn't say this in his bio, but he's also was a member of the Haudenosaunee Lodge, which is now a Legacy Lodge, of which he's a Founders Award member. And that's where I usually see him, as at OA functions. Casey has researched and written 7 books on rural education, school history, and a children's book on immigration. Casey serves as a board member for the Binghamton, New York Area Council and the alumni liaison for all of upstate New York. He is a professional consultant and founder of Dragontamer and CTJ Solutions, specializing in personal coaching, teamwork, and conflict management. Tonight, he'll be presenting on Scouting, Alpha Phi Omega, and Rotary, and how the 3 service organizations promote civic engagement. Welcome, Casey.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, all Rotarians. It is an honor and privilege to be with you this Sunday evening here in upstate New York, near Utica. Specifically, we are getting a little bit of rain. Nothing like we have had or seen with our folks who have gone through the hurricanes. And if we could pause for a moment and think about them and think about the struggles that they are going through. I know as a service organization, we want to do what's right to help folks in Florida and especially in the Appalachian regions that were just devastated. For me, growing up in Western New York, it was scouting that brought me to service. It was scouting that created an opportunity for me and for many of my fellow classmates and others to give to the community. We know that we develop our merit badges to help our acumen in the areas of our hobbies and potentially our future, but we also have to learn how to plan and lead a service project. For any of you who've been through the National Junior Leader Training or Youth Leadership Training or Wood Badge, you know that project planning is a huge area, and convincing others to do great work is essential. And so when we look at scouting, and scouting particularly, what we see is a service above self. Oh, wait, where have we heard that before? Rotary, maybe? So the other idea that we have is that scouting and Rotary meld quite nicely together, because what you have is a pathway of service towards great opportunities to work not only with youth, but adults. And I think that this is where we need to talk about American society for a second. Civic society is in the process of becoming a past thought for a lot of people, because they're so busy trying to do the me, myself, and I, or my immediate family, that they often forget that the only way that our communities work is if we help others who have a greater need than ourselves. When we look at the 12 points of the Scout Law, trustworthy, loyal, helpful, that's a huge one. To be helpful to others, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. There is that idea to be helpful to others. We also have the on my honor, I will do my best to do my duty, God and my country, and to obey the Scout Law, to help other people at all times. In scouting, we have this idea that is embedded and emboldened into us that we must serve each other. We must serve our fellow human beings. And also, if we see something, we must do work to correct it. We talk about in the Order of the Arrow, which is the National Honor Society of Scouts, who again, not only provide service to others, but provide leadership. Within the scouting program, we are trained to become doers. We are trained to go forward. We are trained to plan out projects, to ask others to assist us, because we know we can't do it alone. As we move up in our ranks in scouting, and as we move up in our honor levels in the Order of the Arrow, as we move up in Wood Badge, 3 areas within scouting we learn is you cannot do it alone. You must lead others. You must inspire others. You must create within them a higher calling or a vision to do your level best. Because it is hard day in and day out to help, to remember to do a good turn daily. And yet for many of us, we do that. We do this good turn daily, not because it's easy, but because it's essential. And so within APO, which is our second group that I'd like to talk about, we have a bridge of college. For many of us who have gone to college, what is happening is we need to find others that have these ideas of leadership, of friendship, and service. Alpha Phi Omega, founded in 1925 at Lafayette College, was created by scouters who were looking to do more when they achieved their collegiate beginnings. And they wanted to work with others. They wanted to create a group of like-minded individuals who would see the best in people to help the communities engage on the campus, in their local community, but also the world. And as these people created the Alpha Phi Omega service fraternity, what we began to see was leaders in service throughout this college group over the next almost 100 years. And again, just like scouting, they wanted to recruit the best and the brightest to their groups. For Alpha Phi Omega, you don't need to be a scout anymore. That changed in the 70s. But one of the areas we find often are our leaders come to us to Alpha Phi Omega who may have not had an opportunity to be scouts. And I call the problems that we've had since the late 80s the lost generations, plural. Speaking with a number of people, they hear about this leadership opportunity when they arrive to campus. And they hear about scouts, but they don't know about the law and the oath, which are directly part of Alpha Phi Omega. They don't know about it because they've never been exposed to it. So this group, Alpha Phi Omega, creates opportunities for people who may have really benefited from scouting, but did not when they were a youth, to begin to give back to their community. My role as the Alpha Phi Omega APO Eagles liaison to upstate New York is to create better connections between college chapters and local councils. We need to be able to put the two groups together because, like COVID did for everything else, it created moments where everybody went insular. Just as we all know that Cub Pack struggled to get volunteers, and quite often troops, crews, and others struggled to get volunteers, a lot of college students want to volunteer, but they can't really be volunteers to the level that many of us do in scouting. I equate it with we've not only drank the bug juice, but we know the recipe in scouting. In Alpha Phi Omega, they haven't yet maybe tasted the bug juice, but we want to teach them how to be part of an organization that promotes leadership, friendship, and service. We want to ensure also as Rotarians that we align and help mentor and provide support and assistance to our scouting units and our Alpha Phi Omega communities. Quite frankly, youth today, according to research, and college students are looking for like-minded individuals with civic engagement. They want to do projects to give back to their community, but they may not have financial resources. I mean, heck, when I was in college, you know, you had to work 2 or 3 jobs just to buy pizza and soda. We're going to leave it at that because that's what I did. I was a good boy because I'm an Eagle Scout. But we also have a lot of folks who they don't know about Rotary because they don't see it, because we have a lost generation of people who have not necessarily been promoted into Rotary. A lot of times what we find is that Scouting, Alpha Phi Omega, and Rotary suffer from one major issue. We're humble. We don't tell the amazing story of what we truly do. I want you to think about the humility and the humbleness that it takes to work with young people, college-age students, and then others. Rotary was founded as a way to build friendship, but also to provide service back to the community and leadership. Think about this. When you think about your local community leaders, you often see Rotary membership as a sign that that individual is of high quality, follows the 4-way test, and wants to do well. For me, I see an arc. I see an arc of starting in scouting as a youth, joining Alpha Phi Omega in college, and then once the career begins, to join Rotary. We all have this concept of service, all 3 organizations. We have service on our local level, where we do good projects to make sure that our villages, our towns, our cities are well taken care of. We teach leadership. In scouting, it's through training opportunities. In Alpha Phi Omega, it's through leadership programming. And in Rotary, it's attending institutes. When each of us learns to be a leader, then each of us can give back. And quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, most folks do not get the level of training to be a leader that corporate America wants unless they've gone through scouting, they've gone through Alpha Phi Omega, or they've gone through Rotary. The organization provides top-notch level training in an accessible format to anybody, Scouts, Alpha Phi Omega, and Rotary. We have our service, we have our leadership, and we have the bonds that tie us together in friendship. We have all taken part and become members of organizations to try and promote the idea that a fellow scout helps each other out and is a friend. We have talked about in Alpha Phi Omega how friendship is one of our cardinal principles. To be a brother in Alpha Phi Omega is to be a brother or a sister to everybody because it is co-ed. And then finally in Rotary, one Rotarian is friends to all. And we support each other through our endeavors. By looking at how Alpha Phi Omega is a cross bridge between scouting and Rotarian service, we can create a future where a young person, be it a young man or a young woman, who is on the cusp of a troop, sees college and a professional career in Rotary giving back to their community as something to help them create and end the debt that they have to their community for supporting them. And yet every day, as a scout, as a member of Alpha Phi Omega, and as a Rotarian, I wake up knowing that not only am I indebted to my family and to my extended family, but I am indebted to my scoutmasters, to my advisors and brothers and sisters in APO, and my fellow Rotarians. Folks, Jenny thought that I would make a great speaker, and I appreciate that. But I share with all of you, Jenny demonstrated the cardinal principles of all the organizations that she's part of, Scouting and Rotary, by welcoming me as a friend. Even though we see each other, what, once a year, maybe twice? Because the bonds of friendship go beyond needing to see everybody weekly or twice monthly, because we are all friends. And I hope that all of you as Rotarians will look forward to finding your niche, which you have in scouting, but now extend that and offer local Alpha Phi Omega chapters an opportunity to give back to scouts, to collaborate with Rotary. Show for these young men and women what Rotary after college means, because we need them as much or more as they need us to mentor them into Rotary. And folks don't know what folks don't know. And remember, the most important point is that please don't give them a chance to say no by not asking. We will go out and find one and bring one in, because as Rotarians, we want our best and our brightest. And a really, really deep pool is if people who know this sign and what it means in Scouts and Alpha Phi Omega. I'd like to thank you, and I can open it up to questions now, Mr. President, if you choose to. And thank you all for joining me in this wonderful meditation on what it means to be service in 3 different stages of your life.
Thanks, Casey.
Most people like me better when I'm on mute. But your speech was quite motivational, very good. And you made me think about the International Fellowship of Scouting Rotarians. I don't know if you're familiar with them or not, but when we started this club, I kind of was encouraging each of our members to become a member of the International Fellowship of Scouting Rotarian and to be their district coordinator wherever district they're at, because most districts don't have a coordinator. And I actually go to like our Rotary conferences and all that, and I set up a scouting table and recruit new members of the fellowship. We can extend that out to scouting, and that's something that that would be a great service project as far as our club goes, is to be able to go out to OA events and leadership training events and Wood Badge and set up a informational table about Rotary and its relationship to scouting, because there is a big connect there. I think I might have shared with folks when the Boy Scouts of America was started, Paul Harris and James West were friends, and about 50% of all scout units that were started by Rotary clubs when it started. So there is a deep connection that we're not paying attention to. But
thank you.
But yeah, so any questions?
Yeah. I'd also like to recommend, if possible, please nominate one of your members for the Docherman Award if they've met the requirements. It is not a hard award to earn, because if you're doing both scouting and Rotary, you're pretty much earning that requirement. So, sorry.
Hey, Casey, you're gonna love
Yes.
this one. Liza here received it at the National Alumni Gathering. Our club did a presentation. Michael Williams was there, and Andrew Miller was there, so it was really cool. It was it was one of the first times I met Michael, and
Yeah.
well, it was that weekend I met Michael and Liza in person.
Yeah, Liza, congratulations. That is a prestigious honor.
Oh, we got to fix that.
APO, you mean? That's okay. Mm-hmm. I think that would be great. We often see that Alpha Phi Omega has a presence at National Jamboree this 2 years ago, huge presence, and then at the National Aero Convention presence. It's interesting. Sometimes those of us in Alpha Phi Omega Eagles feel like we're beating our heads against the wall, but how many of us don't at least twice a year go, wow, why is this so hard? It is something where we all have to collaborate. There is a lot of research to indicate that young folks need to know. They don't often get these communications. We're personally finding that when we send stuff to Scout executives, it dies in their email box. And if we send it to their junior staff, then they have to ask for permission. So quite often it's really awesome to have a senior level volunteer on the executive board who can communicate. And I think that it's really good. I hope I can go to the World Jamboree in Poland in 2027. I mean, with a last name like mine, how can I not go visit my ancestral homeland and my cousins? So, but yeah, no, they're great opportunities. The other area is, to your point, is we often see Alpha Phi Omega will do a merit badge college at a local university for councils. But I think sometimes one of the issues that happens is that this is a little bit like our troops junior leaders. It's youth run, or it's youth led and run, but it really needs adult support because, I don't know how you feel about it, but trying to get a 19-year-old to commit to something 6 months ahead of time, forget about it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And also one of the areas that we can do is that Alpha Phi Omega provides 3 specific awards for scouting. The Herbert G Horton, which I humbly was awarded, I still don't know why, but it's basically how do you connect scouting and a Alpha Phi Omega together over an extended period of time. But the other area is that there's 2 awards. There's the Chapter Disborough Award, and then there is also a youth service grant that needs to go to a youth serving organization. And with the Disborough Award, the chapters that have won include Rensselaer Polytechnical Institute. Out Jenny's way, the UB chapter never submits, they never do anything. It's kind of upsetting. But if you know that if you want to know, you go to apo.org and you look for chapters and you can find one near you. And sometimes they don't even know that scouting exists in their area because none of them were scouts.
Oh, okay. Because I know that there's 2 or 3 chapters here local in the Denver area.
Mm-hmm. We have to assume that they don't know anything about us as scouters and Rotarians. Remember, a lot of people chose not to join Rotary for a long time, and a lot of people chose not to join scouting for almost 25 years. So we have 2 generations essentially that do not know about scouting and they do not know about Rotary. Why they didn't join Rotary, I haven't the faintest clue. But I'll tell you that for me as a Rotarian, I had to go seek people out to join. It was not easy. You had to go to the website, then they emailed somebody. A lot of times clubs, they're supposed to have a new member person. The new member person was too busy in real estate doing real estate stuff. So I got shuffled along for a little bit. But one of the other areas to think about is that college students typically don't use email. They don't really use Facebook. They're kind of on Instagram and other areas. But the social media presence that many people who are 45 and up utilize is not the one folks that are in the 18 to 25 range use. One of the coolest things that happened was on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, the young professional group reached out to the 3 local Rotary clubs in Salisbury, Maryland, and one of them, which was a breakfast club, got back and said, we'd love to have the people. We'd love to have young professionals. And so they collaborated with the Chamber of Commerce's young professional group to co-host meetings, to co-host get-togethers. And it was really something where they really worked together well. But it was this idea of leveraging, right? Let's not try to go out and do it ourselves. Let's do it together.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've been experiencing is lately, it seems like in my area, Eastern North Carolina anyways, we seem to have a tendency of young people who look at getting Eagle Scout as something that you complete. Done. And we're getting these 13-year-old, 14-year-old Eagle Scouts, don't know how to tie a knot, and or never really been in a real strong leadership position. But as soon as they get their Eagle Scout, they're gone. They're done. I see a lot of scouts that are aging out at 18 and they're done. They walk away from scouting completely. One of the things that I've done is I started a Rotaract Club of the Friendship Knot. And I've actually been, as my charity, I pay for all those kids every year that are in that. But the idea is Rotary, well, like Rotary clubs have members and then they have Rotarians. And so you have members who will show up and they're there to network and all that stuff. And then, but you have the Rotarians who just get it. They understand the big picture.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I look here with this group here, we need to be the catalyst. We need to be the knights to get out there and encourage these young people not to leave scouting, to continue to carry the torch. We need to be the ones that get out there and make things happen. And I will tell you this, I speak to some of the Rotary clubs about scouting, and I went to one down here in on the coast, and I asked everybody in the room, and there were probably about 40 or 50 members at the meeting. I said, if you were in Scouts as a kid, or you had a kid who was in Scouts, please stand up. And every single person in that room stood up, and I said, I got a question for you. Where do you think your next Rotarians are coming from?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so those are the folks, I mean, we have our scouters and our folks who are scouts as kids. Those are our next potential Rotarians. Those are because they get that. They get the service. They get what you were talking about.
Yeah. I would challenge every single one of you, because you are active scouters, to go after the alumni award. the knot. It's not an easy knot to earn, but it is doable. I actually, at the Western New York Traderie, showed Jenny the requirements, and she's like, "Oh, I didn't do that. I haven't done that." And I said, "Jenny, tell me about a time you did this. How many times, Jenny, have you engaged two former scouts and said, I need you to come back into the pack, or I would love for you to come back into the troop to help?" She's like, "Oh, I do that all the time." I said, "Complete. How many times have you gone out and talked to people in different organizations about the benefits of scouts?" "Oh, you mean like when I went to the church?" "Yes, absolutely counts." So part of it is I think that as all of you look at what you're doing, the Alumni Award is a way to really document the fact that you've done that. But also, I want to share with you is that we are not in this for awards. We're in this to help the future. However, it is really nice every once in a while for somebody to go up to you and go, "Jenny Conway, you have kicked butt and took names. And I would like to give you this little certificate and this little award knot to go on your uniform that says, wow, have you helped it out?" Just like Lisa was awarded the Rotary Scouting International Fellowship Award, we need to do that because humility will only take us so far. Humbleness will only take us so far. And it doesn't have to be where we recognize folks who don't do it. But the fact that you 8 people are giving up a Sunday night to listen to somebody talk about how APO scouting and Rotary goes together means you are committed. And by and far, just like with all the other awards, if you don't know, you can't nominate people, but more importantly, it's education. And when people see your scouting uniform and they see the alumni knot on it, or they see the community organization award, that starts questions, that starts dialogue, that starts if you've got it, maybe I can get it too. But also what it does is it shows our youth, it shows our children, it shows our grandchildren, our nieces and our nephew that we are doing something besides sitting on the couch and allowing the video or the phone to live our life for us.
Comments, concerns, praises.
Well said.
There you go. There's your praise, Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Appreciate you.
Well, thank you very much for speaking with us. This is a great meeting and good, perfect timing too.